Live all over the place. Okay, everybody, we're here to answer all your home buying questions. All the thoughts you have, all the concerns you have. What's the down payment? What program can I get? I'm VA. Should I be going with a particular bank? Is there a specialist for this? What credit score do I need? I've had challenges in my life. My credit isn't the best. I've had bankruptcies. Can I buy a second home? Can I buy an investment property? What's the minimum down payment? What does it take? What are reserves? All the questions that you guys have that I know you want to ask. Please fill up the chat box. We will answer every single one of your questions. We are here to help you and guide you down the path of home ownership. So all the thoughts, concerns, and ideas, please fill up the chat box and we will address them today like we always do. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for joining. Salsa Luna in the house. Karen in the house. Ricky in the house. LaShane, how you doing? Katie. What is that? Gas? Pass? Paco. Papa. Topic. What's the topic? We're here to talk about home loans. Getting home loans. What it takes. We are 2 licensed loan officers. We are helping people across the country in all 50 states, including Hawaii, which is very not common for banks to do financing, New York, which is very not common for banks to do financing, and Puerto Rico. So if you want to buy a house in any one of those areas, including the connected 48 states, let us know. Son looking for first home. So your son's looking for the first home. Okay. So has your son ever looked at buying a house before? I mean, the process is super easy, guys. Super easy. Here's what you need to buy a house. I'll tell you the bare minimum to buy a house, okay? You need at least a 580 credit score, okay? 580 credit score. Super not difficult to get a 580. Better, obviously helps. And a 2-year work history. So if you had a work history for 2 years, what does that mean? That means that you've had a job for 2 years. It means maybe you worked in high school like I did at Sears. I worked at Sears when I was in high school, okay? Then when I graduated, I worked at Home Depot. So if I got 2 years of putting that together, I qualified for buying a house. I just needed a 580 credit score. Now the next question is, how much money do I need? Well, depending on your credit score, okay? Depending on your credit score. If you have a 580, you're going to have to come in with at least 3.5%, which is very low. 3.5% will be your down payment. I'll give you an example of what that means. You're buying a house, costs you $100,000. You need $3,500 to buy that house. What if it's $200,000? Double it. What if it's $300,000? Times it by 3. On and on and on. So if you wanted a $300,000 house, it's $10,500 as a down payment. But if you have a 600 or better credit score,
dude, tone's high.
You might be able to get a down payment assistance program right here and only here. 600 credit score. Down payment. I got the Altoid in my throat.
Yeah.
Altoid went in my throat, guys. If you have a 600 plus credit score, we can get you a program that could potentially cover the down payment. So many options, so many opportunities for all you guys. But load up the chat box and let us know what you're thinking and we'll help you down the path. What do you got for us, Lee?
PS6. Nope. Just got out of school. Son is looking for a house. And he just got out of school. So, did he just get out of high school or did he just get out of a trade school or college? So, if he just got out of a trade school, let's say he was going to nursing school. And last 2 years, doing everything that he needs to do, just got out of school, got a job in, let's just say, Loma Linda for $150,000 a year. Well, even with just one paycheck, because his schooling lines up with his profession and he got a degree, I can use the one paycheck. I don't need 2-year work history because they allow you to use the time when you were learning your trade as part of time and service. Now, if you just got out of high school, it's a little more difficult. But if you got out of trade school or college, if you just got out with an engineer's degree and then Apple hired him in Austin, Texas, and he's making $180,000 a year, I don't need 2-year work history. I just need the engineering degree, the offer letter from Apple, and then I don't even need you to have your first paycheck until after we close the deal. Sometimes I can use that as a post-closing condition as long as it's a solid offer letter and everything else lines up. So there's lots of ways to handle that.
Dude, you jumped ahead. They even asked. PS6 said, what about college? He just answered your question, dude.
I answered it. Shoot, I'm
675,
forecasting.
675 credit score. What that means is you qualify for all the programs.
All of them.
We just need to get you rolling, get you into the house.
So just so you know, FHA starts at 580. If you want to do 3.5% down, 580 FICO score. If you want to go conventional, 620 FICO score. There are reasons you would do one or the other. For most people, your first-time home buyer is going to be FHA. For most. The exception, if you have amazing credit. If you have an 800 FICO score, I'm going to probably talk you into doing a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac home ready or home possible, because that FICO score is a big difference when you get to those. Big difference. But if you're in the 620s or even 750s or lower, you're probably better off with FHA most of the time.
Khalif Mayo, does Uber and Lyft count?
Yes, Uber and Lyft always counts. It doesn't matter how they call you. I know there's a big battle going on. Should we call you W-2? Should we call you 1099? Should we pay for your health insurance? There's a whole bunch of battles going on with that. But from the lending side, it's straightforward. It's really straightforward. It's, hey, how much did I make? Now, if I made it through 1099, how much did I deduct? All right, so there's that factor, but then I get to the end. So it counts. The other side is, how much did I make? If I made it through W-2, well, then I can use top line. So W-2 is calculated a little bit different, but no matter what, no matter where you're at, and it's different. Some places are dealing with Lyft and Uber differently. It's some states. It's by state, basically. And some of them are making them W-2, and some of them are 1099, and it's a very big battle going on. But from the lending side, it's really not an issue. I just go, how did you journal it? Is it 1099? Cool. What are your write-offs? Oh, is it W-2? That's all I need. Yeah.
Kelly F. Mayo. So, yeah, count as work history. So, here's what's going to happen, guys, is he just shared it with you. You have to file it on your taxes. You have to show us a good top line, a good bottom line, because those deductions will kill self-employed. So, you're self-employed to your work history, self-employed, okay? So Luna in the house. I can tell them what they need to buy a house. What they need is you two fantastic guys.
We appreciate you, Celso.
Why would you say that?
We really appreciate you, Celso. We appreciate you showing up. And we're proud to say you're a badass success story. You're a badass success story.
Yeah, Celso Luna, man, he hung in there. Homeowner, badass home, mad equity. Dude is a crazy investor. PS6, okay, college diesel truck maintenance. That's
yes, if you got out, if you did college and you got the degree or certificate from the college, it can't be you did college and you dropped out. Because if you dropped out, it doesn't matter, it doesn't count, you didn't finish it. But if you got the degree, certificate, or whatever the end goal was, and then you got a job as a diesel mechanic, that's some big money. Diesel mechanic's big money. So once you do that, I can count the time in college, time in trade school, and you are good to go.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about, let's answer John. Let's answer John. 620 score, I have chapter 13, drops from my credit next June. Should I wait? Will it matter? Low debt.
Chapter 13 is a whole different animal. Chapter 13, I can actually get you financing while you're in bankruptcy. I can actually get you financing while you're in bankruptcy. So here's the difference. Chapter 7 is, hey, here's all my debts. I don't want to work on them. I give up. System, take them all. So the judge has to go through and figure out how they're going to do this. Corporations take a loss. It's all over. Chapter 13 is, hey, Your Honor, I got myself in over my head. I don't want to deny these debts. I don't want to walk away from them. I just can't handle them the way it's set up. Can you set me up so that I can handle these? Your Honor says, yes, I will do that. Sets up a payment plan. After you've executed that payment plan for so many times, I can literally get you financed while you're in bankruptcy 13, but not 7. On 7, you wait 2 years from the discharge. On 13, call me, even if it just started.
Millie in the house. You guys handle VA loans, correct?
Yes, we do. We're badass.
That's what we do.
We're badass at VA loans. There's a lot of people, like if you're on this, Millie, if you're on this app, you're on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, there's a bunch of loan officers like taking victory laps because they're like, hey, my guy, I just want you to know I can do a VA below a 620. That any decent loan officer can. Yeah.
No cap.
Any loan officer can. It's in the guideline. And they're taking victory laps as if this is extraordinary knowledge. Like extraordinary knowledge. That would be like a physician going, hey, I can prescribe you an antibiotic. They all can. It's ridiculous to even say that. It's like low level to say that. So, yes, we handle VA loans. There's a specific way to handle them. One more step. I'm a veteran. My dad's a veteran. My son's active duty Navy, and I do a lot of VA loans, and I know more about service connection, which is one of the big issues that you're going to deal with, because there's only one real downside to a VA loan. Only one. And the downside is called the VA funding fee. The funding fee can be very expensive. People are like, oh, this gets ridiculous. On the second use, it's 3.3%, and that's a lot. That's kind of a lot. Now, if you're service connected at 10% or more, I can get that waived. Any loan officer can get it waived if they know what they're doing. And the VA, like 70% of the time, will automatically waive it for you because it's built into the system. However, if you get a certificate of eligibility and it says non-exempt, and your veteran says, well, I'm getting $300 a month, well, then you know this veteran is service connected and they should have an exempt certificate of eligibility. That's where your skilled loan officer is going to come in, because he's going to know the difference. These guys on TikTok taking victory laps of, hey, my guy, I can get you a VA loan below 620. There is no FICO score in the VA guidelines. And it's, the sad part is that all of this stuff is online. You can see it. It's not like it's secret sauce behind the page. It's VA is online. There is no VA FICO requirement. The VA is residual driven. Some guy's like, hey, I can get you a VA loan up to 60% back end. I'm like, that's not even a guideline. That's crap. It boils down to VA residual. That's it. It all boils down to VA residual. We do use your FICO score for pricing purposes, but it's not a qualify, disqualify like it is in FHA or Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac.
Millie said, I'll reach out to you when I'm back home from deployment. Millie, where you at? Where you at? Can you tell us?
You don't even have to do that.
Can you tell us where you're at, Millie?
Millie, I got more for you. More for you. I was dealing with this Special Forces guy. He says, hey, Lee, I found the house, but I'm going to be deployed, and I'm going to be gone for a long time. I said, okay. I want to buy the house, but I'm not going to be around. I said, okay. He said, is there any way I can pull this off? I said, do you have anybody that lives in the area? Anywhere. He's like, my girlfriend lives in the area. I said, do you trust her? I trust her all, yeah, with everything. Okay, cool. Tell you what, you and I are going to set up the parameters, and then you're going to write a POA, power of attorney, for your girlfriend. And your girlfriend's going to sign the documents. I'm going to guide her, and I'm going to tell you all the things that could go wrong, and I'm going to tell you my plans for when these do go wrong. And we're going to set up a little side fund in case there's some extra money needed. But your girlfriend's going to execute for you. Are you okay with that? Yes, I am. Awesome. Guess what? He deployed, came back like 60 days later to his own house. I was right. There was some issues in the process. It cost like an extra, I think it was $1,100 for some unseen circumstances. But we were able to pull it off. And he has a house.
Truth. So where you at, Millie? What branch are you in? And thank you for your service. We greatly appreciate it. We need more people just like you. Miami Earl. My credit is 760. My partner is 580. Which loan is best for us? We make $85,000, $20,000 down. You don't have a lot of options, Miami Earl. There isn't a ton of options, but where route can they go, Lee?
If your partner is your spouse, if your partner is your legal spouse, there's something we can do called blended credit. And it's not on every loan. It's only on a few loans, and it's only in a few circumstances. But if you're using the partner because it's not a legal spouse, you got two options. One is FHA, because FHA will go to 580 with 3.5% down. It'll actually go lower. It can go down to 500, but you're going to need 10% or more down. And the other one is VA if either one of you is a veteran. If either one of you is a veteran, then that 580 won't be detrimental. But that 580 is an issue, and if we deal with it correctly, you can still get a house.
Yeah, and there's other programs. You don't have to be a vet. So if you're not a vet, you can still get into something at a 580. Challenges, but we can still do it. Debt is $650. Your debt's only $650 a month. That's low debt, man. That's low debt. That's just like one car payment.
Or $650,000.
If you put a K there, there's going to be a problem, but I don't think so, my Amarillo. Not an $85,000 income. You wouldn't have done that to yourself. Millie, I'll reach out when I get back home for deployment. Or the red dots.
All right, Millie. I look forward to working with you guys. We look forward to helping you, Millie.
Miami Earl, thank you for the love. I look forward to working with you guys. Army.
My dad's Army. My dad was Army. I'm Navy. We still get along okay, though.
You're deployed in the Army right now. I have so many people close to me in the Army that were in Desert Storm. They're older than me, but they were in Desert Storm, so much respect. Melissa Schaefer, what does the credit score have to be for an FHA loan in East Texas?
In East Texas, in West Texas, in South Texas, in North Texas.
What about Northeast?
Northeast Texas.
Southwest.
Southwest Texas.
All right.
FHA loan, credit score 580 or better for 3.5% down. If you have more money, if you have a lot of money, let me say that again. If you have a lot of money, we can go lower in the FICO score. But here's the problem. If you have a low FICO score, something is causing that low FICO score. And we'd really like to address whatever is causing that low FICO score. Because FICO is very important when it comes to a mortgage home loan. Very important. How important is it? If you came to me with a 622 FICO and $100,000 down on a $500,000 house, I would say you're going FHA. Yeah. You know why? Because 622 FICO on FHA, your MI is going to be 0.55. I know what it is because FHA sets it up. It's going to be 0.55. Actually be 0.50 if you put the 100 grand. But if you didn't put 100 grand down, you only put 3.5, it will be 0.55. That's your MI. But if we went conventional, your MI could be 2.0. Let me translate that. On a $500,000 house, that's the difference between $300 and $900 a month. That's a big difference on mortgage insurance every month. $300 to $900. That's a big difference. Now, if you came to me with that exact same scenario and you said $500,000 house, $100,000 down, and I went conventional with an 800 FICO, your MI is not going to be 0.55. It's going to be closer to 0.19. 0.19 is like $150 to $200, somewhere in that range, because of your great FICO score. FICO is very important when it comes to buying a house.
Melissa, score 601. I want to know where you get that from. I want to know why you believe that, because I'm going to guess it's off one of those apps, Credit Karma, Credit Wise, your credit card. I'm going to tell you right now that that score is not going to be accurate. Likely not to be accurate. Once in a blue moon, it's spot on. Once in a blue moon. But for the most part, not accurate. Here's why. You're going off a different, what are they called?
Algorithm.
Not algorithm. It's a different method of pulling credit. So the method of pulling credit that we use is actually FICO score 5. FICO score 5. We use FICO score 5.
When did we change?
You're going off of FICO score 8, which is for credit cards. FICO score 5 is using mortgages. So it's going to be a different system that they use to calculate that score. But here's the good news. When we pull your credit, we'll get the accurate one. We'll know where it sits. It may be higher. It may be lower, but it's not going to be in the 601 score. So you need to get an accurate version of it. TransUnion is one of the agencies that we use, but they use different FICO score methods. Okay, we use 5. Remember that. You're going off of 8. So we'll get you an accurate one, though. I'm glad that you at least know where you're at with your credit, because you have an idea of what needs to be worked on probably. But we'll definitely guide you if the score needs to be higher. Okay?
And we also use the tri-merge. Tri-merge. What that means is we pull 3 credit scores, 3 credit bureaus. From those 3 credit bureaus, we get rid of the high, we get rid of the low, and we keep the middle. If you only pull one, you can get a false positive or a false negative, because if it happened to be the high, we would have gotten rid of it. If it happened to be the low, we'd have gotten rid of it. By only pulling one, you're kind of playing, you're throwing the dice. It's not really accurate. So, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it can be all over the place. I've pulled people's credit, very strange, One in the 500s, one in the 600s, one in the 700s.
Yeah, I've done
so
that
it's
too.
widely spread.
Yeah.
It's weird. Michelle from Instagram, how you doing?
What's up, Michelle?
Michelle wants to know, can I ask, do you help with people with no score that was not born here?
Okay, those are two different questions, but yes. Okay, so Michelle, no score, not born here. Two different items. I'm going to handle them one at a time. First, no score. If you have no credit score, we have a way to deal with that in the mortgage industry called alternative credit. On alternative credit, what I do is I say, hey, listen, you live somewhere, right? Yeah, cool. You pay rent, right? Yeah, cool. Show me the checks for the last 12 months that you wrote to the rent. All right, cool. Also, you pay the electricity, right? Yeah, okay, cool. Show me the checks that you wrote on time to the electric company. All right, you have a phone. All right, cool. You pay your phone, right? Yeah. Show me the checks to the phone company that you wrote that everything's paid on time. Cool. With 3 or 4 of these trade lines, I can build what's called an alternative credit profile. And that is if you have no credit. If you have no credit. And that's like no credit. Not bad credit. Some people are like, hey, you know, my credit's bad. I want to use an alternative credit profile. You can't do that if you have no credit. All right, cool. So now the next thing is, if you're not from here, I don't know what that implies, but I'm going to hit it from about 3 different angles. So let's say you're not from here, you're from the UK, and you just happen to get a job here. All right, okay, cool. And your job is going to keep you here for 2 years. All right, cool. You want to buy a house? That's awesome. What, are you here on a visa? If you're here on a visa, I just need the visa and then whoever hired you to get here. They're going to have it's a document that says we need this person to work here. I do a lot of these for Apple, Microsoft, Intel. So the people hire people from, I don't know, the Philippines or India or wherever the high-level programmers are. And they say, hey, listen, I need this guy over here. He's going to be here for 5 years. All right, cool. So with that document and the visa, even if you're not intending to be a U.S. citizen, I can get you financed. I finance people many times where they're not even intending to be a U.S. citizen. Low down payment, 5% down. I can do that if you came in through a visa. Now, if you didn't come in through a visa, if you're here through I-10, I-10's different. I-10 is, hey, I'm into the country, however, for whatever reason, but I'm trying to make it right. I'm trying to make life legal, and I went to the government, and they gave me an I-10 number. Well, I can do an I-10 loan. However, the mortgage industry does not know if you're going to be here because you may not be able to make it to U.S. citizen. And because of that, they want 20% down on an I-10. So that's one of them. Let's say you're not on a visa or on an I-10. You're just a foreign national. I have a foreign national program where I can say, all right, you're from France. You're not trying to be a citizen. You're not trying to go become a social security number. You just want to buy some property in America. All right, perfect. We can do that. Foreign national program, 20% down. 20% down. And from there on, I'm able to pull forward. So can I help people with no credit? Yes, that's a vertical. And people that are not from here that want to buy? Yes, and I just hit 3 of them. There's probably 100 more, but those are the primary ones.
Michelle says, I was born in Italy, but don't have credit score yet. I have a visa.
Oh, that visa works, especially if you're here on a visa for a job. Now, sometimes the high-tech companies, and again, I do these in Austin a lot, the high-tech companies need some kind of computer engineer that they get from, I don't know, India. And so they say, hey, Mr. Person who is educated in India, we want you to come over. We're going to pay you a boatload of money. Did I say a boatload of money? A boatload of money. Like 200 grand all the time. Like ridiculous amounts of money. Anyway, this guy comes over. He's like, hey, I make a lot of money. I want to rent. I want to buy. All right, cool. Yes, I can do that.
Okay, nice. Michelle is an engineer for the oil field.
That's it. That's it right there.
Dang.
Yeah, so you're probably on a specific visa. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm very skilled in handling these loans. I will tell you that most loan officers are going to tell you, you're going to need 20% down. I funded them with 5% down. I have funded them within the last 2 months with 5% down. 5% down. So, yeah, we can do them.
Michelle, is that what brought you to the States? I want to know why you left Italy. I'm very curious about that. Let us know.
Dude, I love Italy.
He said thanks.
I love Italy.
You're welcome.
I love
He
Italy.
loves Italy.
I do.
Guys, if you're interested in getting started on a home loan, there's a link in the bio. Click on the link and select apply for a home loan now. Get the process started. You don't even need to talk to us. You can talk to us if you wanted to anyway because we're right here. And time for a commercial.
If you need a badass loan, call a badass loan officer. You can reach your badass loan officers, Chris and Lee, at New American Funding by dialing the number on the screen. But don't dial them right now because Lee's phone is on TikTok and Chris's phone is on Instagram. So after we are done with this live, we will answer the calls. We will help you to get that house. This will disappear now.
Oh, now. Michelle said better economic in USA. Okay, good. Opportunities, huh? That's good stuff. Back to Melissa Schaefer.
But I love Italy. I love Italy.
He loves Italy.
I love Italy.
Melissa Schaefer says she makes $30,000 a year and she just wants a small 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Melissa, I want you to have that.
Yeah.
I do want you to have that.
I concur. Let me give you some data, though. Let me give you some data. I don't want to give you false hope. And maybe this works for you. Maybe it works for you. $30,000 in a yearly income, you'll probably qualify between $100,000 to $150,000 in buying power. Is that right?
About right.
Okay, about one to 150. Okay, so if you live in an area where the homes are at that value, you'll hit the nail on the head. But if your houses are $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, you're gonna want to get a cosigner. You're gonna want to get someone that you know, like, and trust to sign on this house with you because buying houses across the USA are very expensive. And you need a lot of money. You need to make a lot of money to sink one. So just want to put that data out there, not give you false hope, and send you on the right path. Caliph Mayo, thank you for the love. Do you handle PA?
PA, passive aggressiveness, all day long.
It is what it is.
It's what it is. No, Pennsylvania, yes, we do all 50 states, all 50. Did I say all 50? I said all 50.
I heard
all
that.
50. So we're in Hawaii, which is a very difficult state to do loans in. We're in New York. Of course, we're in Pennsylvania. We love Pennsylvania. If you need help in Pennsylvania, we will help you.
Very rural out there, man. I was there last winter, I think.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh. I mean, driving down a 2-lane highway for like a couple hundred miles, deer running out in the street, dark as heck. Very beautiful, though.
Rolling
Very
down the
beautiful.
street in Moss 6-4.
I was in a shed in Malibu, I think.
Okay. Close enough.
Okay. Mia Love. We need more money, but we have it when we sell the mobile home. Can I get a loan during selling it? Ooh,
Yes.
Mia Love with the good
Mia,
questions.
Mia, Mia,
What's
Mia.
that called, Lee? What's that called?
Mamma Mia.
I never saw the movie. Never saw the movie.
I did. Pretty good.
Is
Anyway,
it?
it's a musical. You
I
have
love
to like musicals, but if you
Grease
like
is
musicals,
a word.
is it?
It's a musical.
I thought bird was the word.
That's a word too.
Okay, good. Hey, yes, there's something called a contingent sale. Contingent means this. Hey, I have a house in California. I bought it for $200,000. It's now worth $500,000. So there's a $300,000 profit. I want to buy a house in Las Vegas. The house that I want to buy in Las Vegas is $500,000, but I want to use the $300,000 from that sale of the house in California to buy the house in Vegas. Can I do that? Yes, I can. All day, every day. It's called a contingent sale. And if you have somebody who knows what they're doing, you need a realtor that knows what they're doing, and a loan officer knows what they're doing, and escrow that knows what they're doing. Because the departing realtor is going to say, hey, listen, here's my net sheet. That's what it's called, net sheet. After we pay all fees and so blah, 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 this client's getting $300,000. They're going to get a net sheet from escrow. That escrow from the departing residence is going to talk to the escrow from the procuring residence. And they're going to say, hey, listen, there's $300,000 coming over to you, and we'll be able to move forward with $300,000. It's called a contingent offer, and it's very common. I'd say 1 out of every 6 transactions is contingent. Probably 1 out of every 6 is contingent. So it's not like the norm, but it's also not uncommon. We do them all the time. Yes, we can do it.
Yeah, Mia Love, we got your back for show. All right, guys, load up the chat box. We'll get to every single one of your questions, but you got to ask the questions. So don't be shy. Ask whatever's on your mind. There's no such thing as dumb questions, but yes, there is, and we'll make fun of them if they are dumb, but we will answer every single one of them. But let's go back to the first topics. Actually, Michelle, I have something for Michelle. When Lee went to Italy, he said the food is way different and way better. So I want to know what your thought was when you came to the U.S. and you ate this food. So what was your thought on that? Give us a thought. But back to the work history. I want to talk about the 2-year work history because there's a lot of young people on here, it seems like, who are just getting out of school, getting out of college, starting their lives. So talking about a 2-year work history, okay? What that means is if you have multiple balloons.
What's up for the balloons on Instagram?
Was that
we
for the food?
appreciate you. I don't know.
Could have been for the food.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll get back to that.
Yeah, 2-year work history. Hang tight, guys.
Okay, but there's a lot of things that are illegal in Europe that are just
chemicals.
common here. They're like, it's poison. And they allow poison into our system for the almighty dollar because it's politics. And the politicians have to go, why, yes, Dick Cheney, you can use, which is aspartame. You can use aspartame in everything. You can. If you really dug into the political greasing of all the people in the food industry, it's just downright criminal. It's downright scary. So the food in Italy is amazing. It's amazing. One of my favorite, I went to this place called Mama Nona's, and shout out to Mama Nona if you happen to be watching us. I know you're not.
We're worldwide, man. You never know.
We're wide. Anyway, so when you go to Italy, at Mama Nona's, you don't get a menu. They're like, do you want to eat? Yes. Cool. Sit down for the 11-course meal. This is going to take 3 hours. And I'm like, wait, what? I don't get a menu?
Will not be fast. You will enjoy it.
You will not. I'm not going to get, oh, don't worry about it. Mama Nona's going to take care of you. I'm like, all right, whatever. Let's try this. And it was an amazing experience. In Italy, food is not fuel. It's an experience. In the U.S., it's fuel. And it's even junk fuel at that point.
I wonder, are there any restaurants like that out here where you just sit down and they serve you
think
whatever
there
they're
are.
serving
I think,
today?
yeah, there's
If anyone knows of one in the outer LA area or in
Yeah.
LA, let us know because I'd like to check that out.
Well, Brazilians are that way. Brazilian places.
The Brazilian barbecue is amazing.
It is. And they just keep bringing you food until you're done.
Yeah, but you pick and choose. You don't have to take everything.
Yeah, you're right.
That's different. Mama Nona's probably like, eat it.
No, that's what they get. They give you this little ball of stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Do you know? Well, let's eat it. Oh, this is good. We eat it. It's only a little tiny piece. And then they look around, and they come back, and they're like, here's some wine. And it's just a little tiny-ass glass. And you're like, okay. And you drink it, and I'm like, that was great. It doesn't seem like it's enough ever, but by the time you're done, it has been 3 hours, and it's an amazing experience.
And you've had 25 shots of wine?
That's great. Yeah, it's crazy.
Nice. Rhino in the house. Are there any special programs for first responders?
You take that.
Ding, 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 ding. Now, here's the truth, guys. Here's the truth. So there's a lot of marketing out there. A lot of marketing. So they say, hey, if you're first responders, work with us. Hey, if you're, I don't know, corn growers, work with us. If you sell watches, work with us. There's all these marketing methods for first responders and firemen and cops and nurses and doctors and all that stuff. The answer is yes. The answer is yes, okay? It is a little bit sweeter than a regular loan, but know this, it's marketing. It's banks and mortgage lenders and loan officers and brokers all trying to put bait out there and reel you in, okay? And reel you in for the most part. But are there programs? Absolutely. Can we get you in with low down payment? Absolutely. Can we help you with closing costs? Yes. Can we get you in with the low FICO? Yes. Can we help you with your student loans? Yes. Can we help you with the hero loans? Yes. All of those do exist. We have them all right here in-house. Just don't expect big celebration and a much better deal, but they do exist right now. So make sure you reach out to us if you're interested in getting started in the home loan process. Link up top, click on apply for a home loan now. You can put in the data while we're sitting here waiting for you. Ash 1922, how long is credit pull good for?
Ash, by the guidelines, 90 days, it will stale date at 120. So by the guidelines, 90 days, but it'll stale date at 120. What does that mean? That means that if I pulled your credit and we entered escrow 65 days after, and it's a 35-day, your credit's still good, but because we're closing escrow between that 90 and 120, they're going to want to repull the credit. Mm-hmm. Now, what they're looking for is, did you borrow more money? Did you get a car that we don't know about? Did you file for divorce? Did you file for bankruptcy? They want to know what's going on. They will find it anyway, but the credit report is kind of the most current of everything. And they do a refresh on certain things at the end of the escrow. A refresh is not a full credit pull, it's a refresh. It's different. And they also do, this one scares people, but they also do a final VOE at the end of the credit pull. They're like, your underwriter will be like, okay, cool. Hey, ABC company. Yeah, does Jane Doe still work there? Yeah, okay, bye. No, hang up. They just want to see if you're still working there. They will find out if you still have a job. It's because some people lose their job and they don't tell us. They're like, hey, yeah, I lost my job, but I didn't want to jeopardize my loan. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
That's why I didn't say anything.
That's why I didn't say anything. Have you ever had that? You've had that? I've had that.
Oh, yeah.
I've had that a lot of times. So
Oh,
people
yeah.
are like, hey, yeah, I didn't want to tell you because I knew they wouldn't give me any money. I'm like, yeah, you're right. They won't. But there's a way to handle it. I mean, you're a freaking welder. You know how long it's going to take for you to get a job? Like 2 minutes? You're like, yeah, Lee, I've got 3 places offering me a job right now. I just don't know which one I'm going with. What do you mean you don't know which one you're going with? You're trying to buy a house. You're going with the one that will pay you at least what they were paying you so you can get your house. And then you make that damn decision after you get the house. Anyway, I wanted that guy to get the house. Pretty much.
So here's what it is, guys. I was talking with an attorney this morning, an attorney down in Houston, going to be buying a big, beautiful house. And when I was talking to her, she said, is there certain things I should be sharing with you or shouldn't be sharing with you? And I said, think of it like this. You're an attorney. You take on a client. You're going to want to know all the data up front. You're not going to want to hold anything back so you know what the case is going to look like moving forward. Same thing when you're dealing with a loan officer. Because if you're trying to hide that you bought a car, if you're trying to hide that you financed furniture, if you're trying to hide that you've had a bankruptcy or a collection or something on there, it's going to get found out. And
Silent second.
silent seconds, that's a big one. Know this, guys, when you take a HELOC, when you do another loan other than your primary loan and it's attached and linked to the house, it's a second. It's going to get found out. All the data always gets found out. And here's what sucks. Here's what sucks is that you could be in contract on the home of your dreams. You could be thinking about, you know, where your kids are going to put their stuff. You can be talking to your kids about their room, about the backyard, about the pool, and then you lose the house because you weren't upfront and honest. I had a person doing a VA loan in Arizona right now. Okay, about a week ago, she said, I bought a car. I'm like, you did what? She said, yeah, I received an email from your assistant that said, do not finance anything. Do not pull your credit. She's like, I didn't read that in time, so I went and bought a car. She's like, I probably shouldn't have told you that. I'm like, no, you have to tell me that. Because if the file doesn't work now, we at least have the time to figure out how we're going to solve it. So you must disclose this data. And yeah, don't finance during the process, guys. You're going to mess up your deal.
And there's things in the loan process that you might not catch. I'll give you one that I'm dealing with right now. It's just so strange. I had to compete with another lender. I have no problem with that, by the way. I know my business. I know how to compete. So we got the client's in escrow. I'm like, hey, this is your interest rate. Then he goes to somebody else and like, hey, I think I could do better on interest rate. They send me a locked LE. That's the rule. Send me a locked LE. So they send me a locked LE. And then I looked at the numbers and how they got that locked LE. And I was like, this isn't right. This is not right. But with this, I went to my bank, went to my managers. I said, hey, I'm going to get my ass beat by this guy. Can we do better? And we did. We did better. We got a better deal for the client. And then as I went through it, I'm like, you know what? You're not using the right income, and you're damn sure not using the right insurance, and you're damn sure not using the right amount of impounds. This, the way you built it, will fall apart in escrow, but the client won't know that. They won't even know that till they lose the house. I hate to say it, but we've had clients that have left us, and they lost the house. They come back to us too. It's so strange. But I tell people, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give you my honest numbers. I'm going to give you my honest pricing. I'm going to tell you I don't own the bank. I don't. I will fight with the bank if you give me the ammunition to fight. And in this case, the client gave me a locked LE, which is the ammunition I needed. And I said, hey guys, they're gonna beat my ass. How are we gonna do this? And they're like, Lee, that's not a real rate. That's not real. This scenario does not exist. And I'm like, I'm looking at a locked LE. Can you do better? They'll say, we'll do the best we can. So they came back, and ironically, we ended up beating them. But they're like, Lee, this is a one-off deal. It does not happen. And I'm like, cool. Can I get that in writing? Yes, I can get it in writing. All right, cool. But if they would have split, I am highly confident they would have lost the house. And I told the client that. Thank God the client trusted me and believed me. And they said, hey, listen, Lee, I trust you. And I'm like, cool, that's cool. I put it all out there for people to watch so that you can know that we understand the guidelines. But the one thing that's catching people, especially in disaster areas, insurance. Insurance is not cheap. Right now in Dallas, in Houston, and a little bit in Austin, there's been a lot of really bad storms. on the East Coast, there's been some really bad storms. And you know how the insurance companies compensate? They increase the insurance a lot. And if you're just barely making it to qualify, if the insurance goes up a lot, you don't qualify. It's a very scary situation. But if you have all the facts and you got someone who knows what they're doing, you get the house.
Yeah. So if you've ever tried to buy a house before or have purchased a house, you know that feeling when you're not closed yet, when you're like, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? You don't want to do anything to jeopardize that, okay? Because if this is going to happen and you secretly bought a car or did some kind of financing behind the scenes, it's going to get found out and it may not happen. It may not happen. And Ash, I want to address this. So you said, how long is credit pool good for? Don't try to cheat the system. I know you're not going to try to cheat the system, but I'm talking to everybody else. Don't try to cheat the system, because if you know the facts, like Lee said, the end date is 120 days, and you're like, well, if you just pulled my credit 15 days ago and we're in contract, I technically have this 100 plus days until they need to pull new credit. We'll be closed by then. So what I'm going to do is go buy a new car so I can park that new car in my driveway and the bank will never find out. That is incorrect. Just because we don't pull a new credit doesn't mean we're not going to find out. We're actually going to do a refresh, which means that we're going to refresh the current report, not pull a new one, and a new debt will come in. That new car payment will show. That new finance deal that you just did. A lot of people like to go out and buy furniture for the house. They're like, ooh, I got all these new rooms that I need to furnish, so I'm going to go to the furniture store and finance all this furniture that's going to come in with a new payment that I have to factor into the loan, and it gets found out. And many people lose deals over this. That's why my assistant in the email says, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, because you don't want to jeopardize your home. I mean, the home that you're going to raise your family in, the home that you have plans for, the pool parties that you already have set. You already told your daughter-in-law or daughter that you're going to have their wedding in the backyard. You don't want to lose all these opportunities. Hey, the people that are on YouTube, who are you? On YouTube right now, write your name so we can see who you are. I want to know who you are. There's millions of them, so you might get lost, but put your name in there.
I think Teo watches us on YouTube. I think Teo watches
us on YouTube. Is that you, Teo? Is that you?
Is that you, Teo? Are you watching? Are you trying to get that good knowledge here? Anyway.
Teo's got the knowledge, man. The boy's sharp.
Yeah, he's pretty sharp. He's pretty sharp.
Yeah. So just want to put that data out there because it's going to get found out. This process, these banks that make millions and billions of dollars by doing this aren't suckers. They have all the tools and all the things to figure out who's going to screw them over, and they're going to hedge against it before it happens. So know this. They're smarter than you. They've already figured out all the angles. They know what people are going to try to do to screw them over, and they will stop it. They will stop it. So all that to say, I hope that helps you, Ash. But back to the work history. I want to talk about work history because
to your work history is where you're at.
It seems to become very challenging for people to understand this, and I kind of understand why. Okay, so let's just say that, like me, I worked at Sears for 6 months before I graduated.
What's Sears?
Sears is an old school department store. Old school, man.
Yeah.
Old school.
Did they sell dinosaurs at Sears?
They probably did before I got there.
Okay, got it.
But when I got there, Craftsman was the thing.
Craftsman, okay.
Craftsman was the thing. I was actually selling hand tools, power tools, and all the Craftsman equipment. And I actually made pretty good money in high school.
Okay.
But I worked there for 6 months. When I graduated, I worked at Home Depot for 2 years. So let's pretend I only worked at Home Depot for a year and a half.
Okay.
If I took Sears for 6 months and Home Depot for a year and a half, there's my 2-year work history. There's my 2-year work history. Okay?
We can make that happen. I can make that loan work.
Yes. Now let's pretend again. Let's say I worked at. Let me tell you my work history. Actually, I worked at Home Depot for 2 years. Then I worked at 24 Hour Fitness for, I think, 4 years, and then I went self-employed. Okay. The minute I went self-employed,
you're screwed.
That 2-year work history starts all over again.
You're screwed.
All over again.
Screwed.
So I worked at this place, then I went self-employed. From that self-employed, that day one, 2-year work history. I have to file my taxes for 2 years and show that I could do this for 2 years in order to buy a house. But let's say I went from self-employed right back to Home Depot. Right back to Home Depot where I'm a W-2 employee. My boss pays me a paycheck. I'm no longer dependent on making my own money because someone pays me. How soon can I buy from that point?
6 months.
Boom.
It depends on if you were out for 6 months. Because if you went self-employed
Let's say it was seamless. Went from self-employed right to Home Depot.
How long were you at self-employed for?
Let's call it 6 years.
6 months.
I'm gonna argue that.
6 months.
I'm gonna say immediately.
You think so?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
don't think so. I think it's 6 months.
paycheck one.
I think it's 6 months.
Paycheck-
We'll
why
have
would
to
you
pull
say
the
that?
guidelines.
Why would you say
Well,
that?
because you've been self-employed for 6 years, and you left employment for longer than 6 months. If you left employment for longer than 6 months, then you have to go back to employment for 6 months before you're good.
I'm gonna say immediately. Here's why.
Okay.
Because for 6 years, if I filed my taxes, I've been gainfully employed the whole time, and now I'm back to work as an employee. So it was seamless. I never stopped working. I've always made money. But now that I have W-2 income that someone else pays me, I can use it.
I don't think that's right, but
I believe it
we'll
is.
check. We'll check.
let you know
we'll
tomorrow
check. We'll
who's
check.
right.
Yeah, we're gonna check on this because it's a strange situation. Doesn't happen
It
very
is
often.
strange.
Doesn't happen very often. But I do think the guideline is 6 months to get back to work. I think it's that because you've been out of work or out of W-2 work for longer than 6 months. But let's say you became a business owner for 3 months, and then you went back to work immediate. I think we'll agree on that one. That's 100% immediate. But if you went back to work after being self-employed, you have to be at the job for 6 months, and then the 2-year work history will kick in. I think that's the guideline.
So what he's going off is gaps, guys, gaps. So you worked at a job, you were off for 2 months. If that gap is less than 6 months, that first paycheck you can use, okay? 3 months, you're fine. 4 months, you're fine. 5 months. Once you hit that 6 month point, you got to be back at for 6 months. Out for 6, back for 6. That's how you have to look at it, okay? But for anything else, let's say it's a pregnancy. Let's say you're on maternity leave, okay? You can actually use your maternity leave, what's it called? What kind of income do you receive?
Maternity?
Disability, okay? You now, because what happens when you're an employee, you go on disability, your disability insurance kicks. So let's say you're making $5,000 a month at your job, you go on disability, now you're making $3,000. Typically,
I think they call
it's
it
less.
maternity leave. I don't think they call it disability leave.
Whatever.
Maternity. Well, I think the women are going to take issue with that because like I'm not
Come
disabled.
at me, bro.
I'm a mom.
Come at me.
I'm a mom.
You're not able to work, which means you're disabled. So you're making less income, $3,000. We can actually use that $3,000 a month income if it meets your need. If you need to make $5,000, you got to get back to work and make that $5,000 again. But know this: you can use disability income, even if it is true disability like SSD or Social Security, which is not disability, but it's not an income that you're earning. So you don't necessarily have to have earned income. You just have to show that you can prove that you're going to be receiving income.
Make that paper, boo-boo.
I agree. Daniel, how you doing, man?
What's up, Daniel?
What if within the 2 years you were what, Daniel?
You are what? You're leaving us as a cliffhanger, Daniel.
I'm in suspense.
I don't even know what to do, man. I don't know whether to hold my breath or to drink water.
You were bit by a spider and became Spider-Man?
Dude, that happens.
What's the answer?
Yeah, sometimes if you get hit really hard by a rock, you can think about things and start things with fire.
Here it is. Job hopping, but no gaps.
Oh, job hopping. So, sometimes job hoppers think they can't get anything. But that's not true. There's a lot of job hoppers, and job hopping actually becomes the industry you're in. So let's just say I went to a temp agency, and that temp agency said, hey, Lee, you're a great mechanic, so we're going to send you here for 2 weeks. All right, cool. Then we're going to send you here for 2 weeks. Then here. And everywhere I got a W-2 from a different company. After 2 years of it, that becomes the way I make my living. And I just write a letter to the underwriter stating, hey, my way of making living is I'm a temp. And they pay me here. They're going to say, okay, cool, show me 2 years. I'm going to show 2 years. And they're going to go, average the income, good to go.
Nice, I like it. So I have one in escrow right now. She's a CPA. So she graduated from college, got her accounting degree, 4-year degree. I think she's been a CPA for like 4 years now. But when she got her first job, paid her an hourly wage, wasn't good enough, worked there for like 6 months. Got another job, worked there for a few months, got another job for a few months. And then about 8 months ago, she secured a CPA position with a $10,000 a month salary.
What?
Salary.
I gotta
So
get
she
into
went
business.
and then locked in that salary, okay? So here's the good news, is that she was working hourly wages at these other places, making not nearly as much income. But the minute she went salary, we were able to use that income, and she's escrow right now. So,
Boom.
Job hopping, it's okay, man. We can make it work. you can definitely make it work.
What industry are you in, Daniel? What industry? Sometimes that matters. Like, for instance, OTR, vanilla ice cream just joined. Dude, I love vanilla ice cream.
Ice cream.
I don't think that was it, but okay.
Vanilla ice cream.
So, OTR guys, over-the-road truckers, they make a lot of money. A lot of money. Some of them get paid W-2. Some of them get paid 1099. The ones that get paid 1099, well, we have to have the 2 full years of how they've been filing your taxes, because there's a lot of write-offs as an OTR driver. But the W-2s, straightforward. Give me your W-2s from the last 2 years, and we're good to go.
Yep. So what industries do you find to be the most difficult when qualifying the income?
Smoke jumper was hard.
Okay.
Smoke jumper is when they go to work for like 3 or 4 months during fire season, and these guys are like ridiculously dangerous job. They jump out of a airplane with a parachute into a burning forest fire with a shovel and an axe. And they're like, hey, shovel and an axe, I got this thing. And just in case, they got a little cover that can go over the top of them. They dig a hole, they put the cover over the top of them so the fire will burn over them. That's the fail-safe for these guys. Anyway, for about 3 or 4 months, they make 100, 120 grand, like a lot of money. And then they don't work for 8 months. And it's like, holy shit. And like, yeah, but you could die. I'm like, wow. So that was hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Mia Love, what about W-2 and 1099 self-employed income?
Mia Love. Good. Very good. So, each one of them is its own line. W-2 is a line. 1099 is a line. If both of these lines go 2 years, I can use them both.
Nice.
If both of these lines go back 2 years. If only the W-2 goes back 2 years and the 1099 doesn't, can't use it. If the 1099 goes back 2 years, I can use the 1099. But if you have W-2, can't use that. So, if both lines go back 2 years concurrently, meaning they're at the same time, you can't go from W-2 to 1099 to W-2 to 1099. Won't work that way.
Yeah. So actually, I was qualifying one just a day ago, maybe 2 days ago, and she had 2 jobs, making okay on both, which put them both together. It was fantastic, but okay on both. And she wanted to use both incomes. Found out that one of those jobs she started just 8 months ago. Okay, so she had 2 incomes, one for over 2 years. I think she had been working the primary for like 5 years, and then one job she had from 8 months ago. But because the second one she doesn't have a 2-year history on, we can only use the one. And the only solution she has, because she wants to buy right now, is a cosigner. She's looking for a cosigner. That's why I say, guys, get your cosigners lined up, because it may be necessary. Daniel, back in the house. He says he does sales management, left previous job for better money.
That's easy. If you're moving up in your career, it's real easy to explain, because anybody would. You're like, hey, I work at Cragen Auto Parts, and AutoZone offered me $10,000 more a month. Yeah, I'm leaving. And then O'Reilly offered me $10,000 more. Yeah, I'm leaving. It's pretty simple. As long as I can create a chain that shows you went from here to here to here for more money, no problem whatsoever.
I do sniff out a little concern, though. A little concern. Okay, because he said sales management.
So sales,
let me tell you what that means.
Implies commission.
Implies commission, yes. So when you're in sales, let's say you get an hourly wage, just a base hourly, $20, $25 an hour. That's guaranteed. You work 40 hours a week.
That's a damn good base, man.
Okay, $15 an hour, whatever the base hourly is. Okay, that you need for 2 years. Show me that you've been making money for the past 2 years. Commission, whole new category. You must show that you've been earning commission for the past 2 years as well. We got hearts, man. Was that because I went like that?
Maybe.
I went like that, actually. Maybe they thought it was a heart.
Might have been.
Okay, so it's a different category, guys. You open up a brand new category. So your sales income it could be commission, could be bonus, but you need 2-year history of showing that. Your hourly, you need a 2-year history of earning money. Your salary, you need to show a 2-year history of making money. So that 2-year history also applies to every single line item, including and not limited to overtime. So you have your base hourly that you make 40 hours a week, and then you consistently have overtime. Show me a 2-year history of that too in order to use that. So when you say sales management, sales triggers commission. So if you're making commission, 2-year history on that too. Don't assume you're going to be able to just qualify because you've been working for 2 years.
You know what happens when you make an assumption? You make an ass out of you and umption.
All right. Juan Gomez. Does it affect if you change employers? I think we answered that, but let's hit it again.
One. Why did you change employers? So we're going to have to write an LOE, letter of explanation, to say, hey, why'd you change employers? And if the answer is, I made more money. Better pay. That's easy. That is easy. Yes, all day, every day. That's the natural trajectory of a career. You're like, hey, I'm starting low and I'm getting better and better and better, and people keep paying me more and more and more. So the underwriter goes, yes, this is a good sign. So if you changed employers for better pay, that works. If you changed employers for less pay, can it work? If I can give a letter of explanation, I had one like this. The guy was making like $75,000 a year, and he took a new job making $65,000. I said, okay, why? And he said, well, because the job making $75,000, I was driving an hour and 15 minutes there and an hour and 15 minutes back. And I wanted to spend that time with my family. So I took less pay so I can gain 2.5 hours a day with my family. And I was like, let me see if I can get that to work. Sent that to the underwriter. The underwriter said, yup, it has to be the new amount, but it makes sense of why you would go from $75,000 to $65,000 a year. And that just letter of explanation. Yep. So a lot of it is just logic. Why? If you had to change jobs because you punched your manager, we don't want to put that in the letter of explanation because...
Don't punch your manager.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, it's not going to go off very well.
I don't think that's a good idea at all. Let me give you another piece of information, guys. So hourly employees. Let's say you have a great hourly. I'm running into a lot of people that have great hourlies, $40 an hour, $50 an hour. If you work 40 hours a week, here's how I calculate it. Okay, I take 40 hours times that rate times 52 divided by 12, and that's your monthly income. Okay, but if you make a high hourly and 1 week you work 40 hours, but the next week you worked 32, and the next week you worked 28, and the next week you worked 40, and the next week you worked 40, and the next week you worked 36, the income's all over the place. That now has to be average.
I was going to say, that hurt my brain just listening to it.
Well, what I'm saying is you're not working a consistent 40. Yeah. When you're not working a consistent 40, I can't give you all of that income. It must be averaged over the last 2 years. So you might make, let's call it $8,000 a month if I calculate your income at 40 hours a week. But if you're working those sporadic hours, it may recalculate to $6,800. So you lost $1,200 a month because I had to factor the past 2 years worth of income and average it. So if you're working an hourly wage, work your 40 hours a week so we can give you the most amount of income possible. Don't take time off because your boss said you can leave early if you want. Work those hours. Work those hours.
NB21 says only worked 1 year previous, 3 year stay-at-home mom. Also health reasons. Now 1 year in, making $150K. So stay-at-home mom, much respect. That's a tough job. It's a real job. 1 year in, making $150K, but you had worked in the past. I'm going to say you're good to go. I'm going to say because you have worked in the past and you're back making $150,000 a year. What do you do?
Yeah, brand new back to the market?
Yeah.
You're in high demand.
$150,000 a year, good for you.
NB21.
So, if I can write a letter of explanation stating this, and I'll have to prove it, then, yeah, I'm going to say you're good to go. Give us a call. Let's get you a house today.
Hell yeah. Time for commercial.
You need a badass loan, call Badass Loan Officer. You can reach your badass loan officers, Chris and Lee, at New American Funding. You can do it by calling these numbers, but don't call right now because we're live, and we won't answer. As soon as we're done being live, we will answer. That's it. So, count is a little higher than it has been, so we might want to consider just hanging a bit.
All right, guys, fill up the chat box.
What's going to happen to the interest rates in the future?
Fill up our chat box, guys. We'll answer all your questions.
The interest rate in the future, right now, the Fed says we are at 5.25, 5.5% Fed funds rate. That's what they say. That's what we're at. That, by and large, dictates the mortgage rate. It's not direct because the mortgage rate is based off the 10-year yield, but the 10-year yield does reference this. Anyway, this is what the Fed has forecasted for the next 2.5 to 3 years. They say that in the next 2.5 to 3 years, we are going to go from a 5.5 all the way down to a 2.5. 2.5. 2.5. That's a 300 basis point drop. 3%. But 300 basis point drop. What does that mean in English? That means that if you're getting quoted today 7.5, in about 3 years, you'll get quoted 4.5. Why? 300 basis point drop. That's just the math. It gets more complicated, but that's just the math. What do we got?
Net said, that's not going to happen. No cut.
No cut. No cut. No cap. No cut. Net. I don't think you're right, but that's okay. Either way, the Fed says, the Fed is Jerome Powell, by the way. Jerome Powell is the chairman of the Federal Reserve. This is Jerome Powell. And he has said that we anticipate 3 interest rate reduction moves in the calendar year 2024. He has not changed that stance. The next time he will have the opportunity to change the stance will be July 12th. I erroneously yesterday said July 10th. June 10th. It'll be June 12th. June 12th. On June 12th, this guy's going to come out and he's going to speak and he's going to go, hey, blah, 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 blah. And when he does that, all of a sudden, market's going to respond. Net says,
if they cut inflation, will go up. Net. That's very basic. Give me some more data.
You just said you're basic?
I said that's very basic.
You said you're basic.
Possibly. So give us some more data. Support that better as to why you're saying that. Okay, he says 63 banks insolvent.
I agree with that. I've seen the same numbers that you have. That doesn't change it. That doesn't change it. As a matter of fact, the insolvency actually, I hate to say it, but some of them have to go under. Someone's got to go down. And one of those banks has to go down. Has to go down. So if Bitcoin changes, so here's a weird thing because crypto, Bitcoin, the biggest one, but Bitcoin is actually affecting the markets. And these 63 banks that they're talking about insolvency, if they get a swing in Bitcoin, could like collapse these banks. And you know what? They should go bye-bye. If you push yourself to the spot where you're going to go insolvent, bye-bye, bye-bye. Yes, it's horrible, but we just handled SBF. SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, that whole thing collapsed and the system didn't fall apart. It's better off without people scamming. That's the way it's worked.
Yeah. Aliana Ruby. It hasn't happened, though. At all. We only had increased.
Aliana Ruby, what happened was in COVID, they had to get control of the economy. So in order to do that, they dropped the Fed funds rate, which in turn chopped the 10-year yield, which in turn made the mortgage rates go low. They did that to stave off an economic collapse, which they did successfully. It's arguable whether they needed to or not, but they did it. And now we're paying the piper. It's like spending way too much on a credit card. When it comes time to pay the bill, you got to pay the bill. And that's what we're doing with the high rates. But Fed hasn't raised the rates in about 8 months. We've been at 5.25 and 5.5 for about 8 months now. Mortgages kind of go back and forth because they base off the 10-year yield, and that is market driven. However, when the Fed does reduce the rates, it will change the market. It's going to go.
You'll 30. So houses will be going up?
Like a freaking train, man. They're gonna go up a lot.
Aaron, what's the lowest loan you can do?
Usually about 100 grand. Sometimes we'll get into 80, and that's because of HPM. It's called high price mortgage, where the fees start to be too big of a percentage of the loan, and banks just stay away from them. They don't want to do $100,000 loans. Banks don't want to do 100. There's no money in $100,000 loans.
Net, thank you for the love. Net also says mortgage-backed securities. Yikes, helicopter money.
I know, it's all crap. Net, you should come on board one day and you and I can go back and forth because I've been doing this since 1992. I got my first license in 1992, securities license. I've been in the finance world for a very long time. I get it. I understand what you're saying. I also have a lot of facts in front of me. The one thing I don't have to talk with you is a lot of time. The reason is, we've been Chris and Lee. We are out.